Colorado and UCLA is a very intriguing game. I think that we've gotten a little bit of a break from Colorado after their loss to Stanford, and now you see the hype is kind of dying down a little bit, but they have an opportunity to revive that hype, to get back on track and to remind everyone why they were one of the most talked about teams in college football. The loss to Stanford hurts, and when you compare that to what UCLA did to Stanford, you have some concerns about what Colorado can do against the Bruins. This is a Bruins team that is playing really well under Chip Kelly. There are certain games that obviously you'd like to have back, but they are playing pretty well in terms of defensively. I think that they've played better than we expected. The offense appears to be balanced. It's just a matter of winning those big games because when you look at the Stanford results, Stanford beat Colorado 46 to 43. Colorado blows that 29-0 lead. UCLA beat Stanford 42 to 7. Those are the last games for both of those two teams. UCLA has losses to Oregon State and Utah. I think now that Ethan Garber is back quarterback, maybe you have some things figured out, but you're also facing a Colorado's offense that is extremely explosive. Shedeur Sanders is one of the more talented quarterbacks in college football and he has over 2,400 yards and 21 touchdowns to his name. He has plenty of talent out wide. Xavier Weaver's really good. Jimmy Horn. Travis Hunter is an absolute monster on both sides of the football. We'll talk about him more in a little bit. This offense has so much firepower that UCLA will definitely have to buckle up. This is not a typical test that they have faced, and this may be the most difficult challenge that they have run into so far this year. If they can essentially negate what Colorado wants to do throwing the ball, then I think that they have a good chance. But also, their offense shouldn't have much trouble moving the ball against Colorado's defense. Colorado's defense is you use this term sometimes bend it but don't break, but they're a bend and break team right now. They are a bend and break defense. They do not get many stops, and that doesn't help. Yes, their offense is really good. They're putting up points, but what happens when you slow them down? UCLA's defense is extremely talented. They are disruptive. They will make sure that life is difficult for Shedeur. They will get to the quarterback. They'll be disruptive, and that could be a big challenge for this Colorado team. UCLA has done a great job of playing well as a unit defensively, but also I think their offense, now that they maybe have the quarterback situation figured out, if Ethan Garbers can provide some stability, which Dante Moore could not, and I think this offense reaches new heights because they really just need a consistent player at quarterback. They need a consistent passing attack and they need someone that can get the job done and distribute the ball to the playmakers because there are a lot of playmakers on UCLA's offense. There's too many players to not utilize. And I think that that makes a big difference in this game because if UCLA's defense can keep Colorado's offense largely in check, they don't need to do a ton offensively. Yes, they still need to score plenty of points, but they shouldn't find too many issues moving the ball against this defense. Colorado's defense has struggled against pretty much everybody. So you shouldn't have too many concerns. Obviously, don't take them lightly, but just take care of business and you'll be just fine. The defense should do its part, even though they're being the ones that will be more tested than the offense. When you look at this game in general, there are certain matchups that you maybe get concerned about, but it's because if you're a Colorado fan, there are blatant holes in your both sides of the football. The offensive line is not what it needs to be. The rushing attack is not what it needs to be. The defense doesn't seem to know how to stop anybody. But there are certain things that they've done well despite those things. I mean, Shedeur Sanders is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and that's despite getting sacked almost the most of any quarterback in college football. He's one of the most hit quarterbacks in the entire country, and he's still one of the most talented and one of the best statistically in the country. So there's still something to be said about what Colorado can do despite the adversity they face. And even facing a defense like UCLA doesn't seem to phase them because they know they have certain play calls they can make. And Sean Lewis has done a great job of getting his players in good positions to make plays. And this is a group that is extremely explosive, but UCLA has the talent to be able to slow that down. When you look at certain matchups, it's really fun to see certain guys that you kind of forgot about. I think the loss to Utah really put UCLA behind in terms of the Pac-12 race, and two losses obviously hurts. They're not technically out of it, but it will require other teams to lose first. And obviously, they'd like some of those things back. They maybe would like to go back and figure out the quarterback situation. a little sooner rather than later, but here we are nevertheless. And I think that for the Colorado side of things, Travis Hunter's tests that he faced honestly are right now maybe don't seem super significant, but next year and in his future, you're going to see that this is a player that has been tested quite a bit, and that will only help him. Yes, he obviously had some struggles against Stanford, but the kid's playing 150 snaps. The kid's playing both sides. He's tired at the end of the games, and this is obviously more conditioning than anything. This is almost like a trial run for Colorado. And if they get a lot of their guys back and can hammer the transfer portal like they did this year, I think this will be a very exciting team in 2024. But games like this will tell us how far they have to go. We're getting some good keys in terms of what does this Colorado team need to do to get better? What do they need to add? What do they need to fix for next year? So it's not really that they're looking for this year in terms of their goals. Next year is really things where things get started. And they have their quarterback in place. They have certain players that are locked and loaded for that, and that's really exciting for the 2024 season. I think that Colorado is a very fun team, especially because the way that Shedeur Sanders is playing, because the way Travis Hunter is playing. Xavier Weaver is good. Omarion Cooper is really, really good. I think that you're looking at or Mario Miller, excuse me, is extremely talented. And this is a young group. And in terms of young too, they're young in terms of their chemistry with each other. This is still a relatively new experience for everybody. And the quarterback appears to be fine. The offense looks like it's got things figured out, and it's going to take some time to get everybody on the same page. And UCLA is kind of familiar with that too, as they're going through certain situations with the quarterback position in terms of getting everybody on the same page, getting the quarterbacks up to speed, getting chemistry with their wide receivers. So there's certain things that these teams share and can kind of, I wouldn't say bond over, but they can relate to each other. So that'll be really interesting to watch, especially in this game. Can Ethan Garbage have a big game against a bad defense? Can Shedeur Sanders have a good game against a really good defense? That will be a big question. When it comes to picking this game, it really comes down to what Colorado can do against UCLA's defense. I think UCLA is the better team. I think that they win this game because they have been disruptive against a lot of teams. But this is a really good offense for Colorado. If this defense cannot hold its ground and UCLA can't put up enough points, then Colorado is definitely capable of an upset. The Pac-12 is very deep this year, so an upset is not out of the question. But I think UCLA is the better team. And to me, that's enough for them to win this one.